hydrological extremes at Utrecht University. Niko Vanders, welcome. Well, that's a snapshot from one country in Europe. Would you put this in perspective for us and give us a sit-rep, if you would, of the entire continent and the drought affecting Europe?
Yeah, unfortunately, it's not a pretty picture, but what we do see is this drought, not maybe as devastating as in France, but we see also impacts in northern Italy. We do see impacts in the Rhine river system, so in Germany, the Netherlands, Belgium, the UK, and even further to the east. So we see quite a lot of drought impacts across the continent.
Is this the new normal for Europe?
Yeah, unfortunately, we do see in the observations, we do see significant trends towards drier summers, mostly related to that warmer weather that was caused by heat waves, and that results in more evaporation, so more water is evaporated back into the sky, basically drying up the land, and as a result also drying up the river systems. And this is a consequence of climate change that we see, and we see those strong trends. So unfortunately, we're heading more and more in this direction. Nonetheless, I want to emphasize that this is, of course, still a very extreme event. So this won't be exactly the normal, but we will see definitely more and more droughts across the continent.
What can we do in the short term? I'm thinking about personal responsibility and all of us trying to use less water.
Yeah, what you see is that domestic water use is actually quite a big factor because we are all using that drinking water, which is the highest quality of water there is, and that's especially difficult to make in these kind of drought situations when the water quality is deteriorating. So that in a sense we can all have an impact by reducing our water consumption, maybe not taking 2 showers a day, but one, or a shortened shower, or try to recycle water where we can, because if we can reduce our pressure on the system, that's already one part of the puzzle. And of course, there's other parts of the puzzle that need to be solved by others. But yeah, we can all make a small effort and try to help in that regard.
And let's talk about the big picture stuff and the responsibility of national governments and what they need to do.
Yeah, what you see is that, of course, we as households can do something, but the big wins are mostly in redesigning water management systems, but also preparing for that new climate in our water systems and our water supply systems. So we see different governments acting upon this with long-term strategies. For example, here in the Netherlands, we have a Delta program, which really puts long-term investments in making that water security a long-term goal. And we see similar things happening in Belgium, for example, where we really want to tackle drought on the long term. And it's not something we can do in a week, a day, or months. This is a thing that will cost us years to decades. And in that sense, it's a marathon to actually implement all those things. And I think by government implementation, we can get a long way.
Well, let's talk about a decade. What does Europe look like in a decade if this goes on?
Yeah, what you will see is that the south, specifically the Mediterranean area, will be facing most of the impacts of climate change. We're pretty sure on that end. We see a lot of the signals already happening there with more and more droughts around that region. The northern parts of Europe will also dry up, and it will become more extreme as well. So sometimes we have these very prolonged drought periods, followed by more severe, intense precipitation events. And that makes it very tricky for hydrologists like myself to help manage the water and be prepared for everything. And for that, we do the science, but of course that also requires some adaptive water management. But it is clear that the future will look drier than it currently does in the European summer.
Professor Niko Vanders at Utrecht University, thank you very much for talking to us.
Thanks for having me.